Great. Well, thank you for having me. My name's Helen McClure. I've turned 50 this year, so that's my landmark. I'm an interior designer based in Surrey, and I've been doing sport forever, but triathlon for about 13, 14 years, starting abroad and then moving back to the UK, so all over the place.
Really nice of Helen to reach out and state that she would like to share a story on our podcast. Much appreciated, as always. Really enjoyed chatting to Helen for nearly an hour about her background and what she's been up to. So I hope you guys enjoy this one as well. And she's got a really interesting favourite bit of kit. If you haven't heard it already on social media, it did make me laugh. So that's coming up. Hope you're all well, and if you've been racing, you've had success, whatever shape or form that might be in. I hope you've had a great week of training, or 2 weeks of training actually, since the last podcast, which was actually really received well. It's done really well, and I'm so pleased that we've had so many people listen to it, because it makes this all worthwhile. So thank you once again for that. So it's a couple of weeks since the race over in Pontevedra at the World Champs, and haven't really got up to a lot, to be honest. I've been recovering and reflecting on what's happened so far this season. Recovery's been in the form of just training when I want and doing what I want, and not really no planned sessions, which is quite liberating actually, not having to follow a plan or a training program, and just going out and doing what you like. And that's included going out running with Mrs. C and riding our bikes and just taking it nice and steady. Although I did do the 4 climbs on the Zwift Tour de France climb portal, and that was quite good. Enjoyed that, and got the Diddy kit that you get if you complete those. And for those who don't know what the Diddy kit is, it's Diddy the Devil from the Tour de France. He's there every year, quite a tall gentleman, long grey hair with a grey beard, and he wears a kit of the devil, and he's got the devil's whatever it is the devil has, and so you get that if you complete these 4 climbs. So I've gone from the GB kit on Zwift to the Devil kit. So that was that done. What else? Track sessions are back on, so that's good. And it was nice to have our eldest son Joe come along last weekend and take part in the track session, making memories with your family. So that's the 3 of us. There was only one missing, but he lives over in Leeds, so Luke couldn't obviously make it. But it was nice to get Joe back onto the track, and he wants to improve his running. Does a lot of CrossFit, and he just felt that his running had lagged behind a bit, so he's going to come and join us on the track when he can. So that was nice. Tour de France started, so we've been watching that religiously every day, live, and the whole afternoons where possible, and that's been really, really entertaining. Caught up on the World Triathlon at Hamburg, watching the elites, and it was nice to see Georgia Taylor-Brown back. She finished 14th. She hasn't done a triathlon for a long time, so she did remarkably well. It's a shame that you can't watch it live anymore. They've put it on their own website, and you've got to pay to watch it, where you used to be able to watch it on the BBC live, but that's changed, which is the way of the world at the moment. You've got to pay for everything. But we did catch up on YouTube when they put it on there. It's only 14 or 15 minutes that they give you, but it's better than nothing. So that was good to watch. We did watch Challenge Roth, which was last weekend, and it was great to see Sam Laidlaw back and absolutely smash it after his time out and his traumatic physical and mental issues that he's had. It was great to see him back and racing so well. We've been watching the documentary and his episodes that he's been putting on YouTube and following his recovery. So yeah, that was pretty pleasing to watch. If you haven't seen his diaries, head over to YouTube and give those a watch. A couple of podcasts to recommend, and the first one is Miles from Ordinary with Bex Milnes and Jess Lamont. Really entertaining podcast each week with these two. So funny. But this episode they were talking about training through pregnancy with an age group triathlete, Joe Wright. And obviously Jess had just not long ago been pregnant. So it was quite a good discussion. So anybody that's pregnant at the moment and is a triathlon or whatever, I'd head over to there and give it a listen, because they had lots of top tips, lots of experience between the two of them. And it was a good listen, as always. And the second podcast I'd like to recommend was Rich Roll Podcast, and he had the creator of Whoop on, Will Hammond, and they were talking about why most people get fitness wrong and why recovery beats intensity, and basically the science of human potential. And it was a really good podcast, really insightful, and really enjoyed it. So give that a listen. Rich Roll Podcast with Will Ahmed, creator of Whoop. Right, it's time for the main event. I hope you enjoy Helen's story. Really, really nice to chat to her. Lovely lady. And we shall see you on the other side. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on and reaching out to share your journey into multisport on the AMP podcast. Much appreciated. And if you'd just like to introduce yourself.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. My name's Helen McClure. I've turned 50 this year, so that's my landmark. I'm an interior designer based in Surrey, and I've been doing sport forever, but triathlon for about 13, 14 years, starting abroad and then moving back to the UK. So all over the place. Cool.
And what did you do growing up as a kid then?
Anything that I could get energy into, really. I started with the typical school team sports, but I always felt like people were relying on me. So I didn't want to let people down. So single sports tended to be better for me. I got into running, joined the Army Reserves, and you needed to keep fit. You needed to have a certain level of fitness. So running was the easiest way to do that. From there, I went into ultra running and did anything up to 100 miles. And then, unfortunately, I had a back injury when I was pregnant with my first daughter. I slipped a couple of discs, so I stopped the ultra stuff and decided to do short stuff. And that's where triathlon came in, because although it was still an endurance sport, it was 3 sports and not much time doing any of them. So that seemed to suit me better, as my body was struggling.
Yeah. So going back to your early days, what was your favourite sport that you did as a child?
I was into athletics mainly. I joined an athletics club, but at the same time I was doing ballet. So I'd always done ballet, and there's this kind of weird contradiction, because they both need a lot of strength, but to go on point I needed really strong ankles, and doing athletics I was forever spraining my ankles. So in the end, ballet had to give way to athletics.
So you've got a good background in running, basically. That's your strength, is it? From
That's my bread and butter, although at the moment that's the area I need to improve in most. I think there I always thought as you went up in age group, it would get easier. But I tell you, these women are so strong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to up my game really.
Yeah. It never gets easier. I mean, I don't know. You just seem to, if you've got a really competitive group, they just go and follow you right the way through. I mean, I find that, and it just becomes more and more competitive because not only have you got the bunch of athletes that you're already competing with, you get new ones coming in that are only just starting. So that adds to the mix and it just gets more and more and more competitive. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I think it might tail off, obviously, when you get 70s and 80s, that sort of thing. But up until then, if you look at the age group, it's phenomenal the amount of people that turn up
Yeah,
and try and qualify. It's just.
yeah, absolutely. Well, the girl who won Eastbourne overall is in my age group. So, she beat everyone. There's some phenomenal athletes out there.
And there's that outlier in every age group. I mean, there just is. I was racing the other weekend, and the top guy in our age group, he wasn't trying to qualify, but he was there at the race. And he's running like 5K in less than 18 minutes. You know what I mean? And I'm in the 55 to 59 age group, and it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh please. But yeah, it is what it is, and it's good that it's so competitive, and you've got to work for your places, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It definitely keeps you honest.
Yeah. So going on to your running, you said you did marathons and ultras. What marathons have you done?
My first was in Lanzarote,
Right.
and I knew it was a 4-lap course, and I knew that mentally that's quite a challenge because you see everything 4 times. What I hadn't really appreciated till I actually got there, that it was along the promenade, so you saw everything 8 times. It was there and back 4 times, so that was a real baptism of fire. I've done London 3 times, although not always in my name. You know what the ballot's like. So I've been an imposter several times. What other ones have I done? I can't remember. Halves all over the world. North Shore in Chicago. One in Singapore. Yeah, all over the place.
Because you have lived in various places, haven't you, in the past?
Yeah.
Just go into a little bit of that of how that came about and how you adapted your training and things for the different locations that you were in.
Yeah, we're really lucky actually. As a child, I lived in Kuwait, so being an expat wasn't anything that was particularly unusual for me. And when I met my husband, he too had been an expat. He'd lived in France for a couple of years, so it was like a normal step. But we didn't think that we'd be able to go abroad because our first daughter was born with a lot of medical problems and we needed to be near Great Ormond Street. However, her surgeon retired, and at the time my husband was commuting to Chicago. So I had a toddler who was very ill and a newborn baby, and I was struggling to get to hospital all the time, and he was commuting. And then the surgeon retired, and we said, well, if you're retiring, who's got all the knowledge of this rare condition? And he said, oh, well, it's someone in Chicago. And he said, well, I'm working there. So we moved. Really cold, really difficult to do training in the winter. So in terms of adapting, it was a little bit about the weather, but it was also about having 2 young kids and just fitting it in when I could, really. Every parent will understand what that's like, sleepless nights and just get in what you can. So we spent 2 years in 2 years in Chicago. Then we moved to Dubai, where we went from really cold, -20 to +50. Again, you adapt because you get up early and do a lot of your races in the winter. And then we moved to Singapore. So from the coldest place to the hottest place to the most humid place. And that was actually easier because the weather was the same every day. So the season was all the time. Whereas in the UK, coming back, what I had to get used to was you detraining and doing a base winter and then bringing your training back up again. In Singapore, we were just racing all the time, just trying to stay injury free. Probably meant we weren't racing at our top level because it's hard to sustain that. But you do adapt to the weather and the level of training. And I really enjoyed the triathlon scene in Singapore.
So that was your favourite place that you'd for training and racing, that was the favourite place.
Yeah, it was. Dubai was good in that we had a cycling group that we'd meet, and they've got a track that goes out in the desert, but it was pretty much the same every week. And as a woman, it was more difficult for me to go out running on my own. Things have changed and they're getting more used to it. But at the end of the day, it's a Muslim country and you need to be respectful of that. So Singapore was definitely gave me more freedom. The children were a little older, and the weather was a little more conducive to racing.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, yeah, what a background, what a history, what all those different environments that you've raced in stands you in good stead when you go like racing abroad for GB, doesn't it? Because you've experienced pretty much everything.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I get nervous all the time. I think it's the unknown, and that's probably it's the same for everyone. You don't really. I might be able to envisage what it's like culturally, but I don't know what the race is going to be like, or where the dismount line is going to be, or whether I'll do something wrong, or whether I'll forget something, or I'll bring the bike in the shoes but the wrong cleat. So the whole stress of racing is still the same for everyone.
Yeah. So from ultra running, and you said about your injury with your discs, how did you get into triathlon? How did you find out about it in the first instance? And what was the process?
I don't know how I found out about it. I suppose it probably was the build up to 2012, perhaps. I'd moved to Dubai and was speaking to another expat who was very sporty. And especially for women, it's quite difficult when you're in a small pool of people that you're friendly with to find women who are sporty. A lot of my friends think I'm absolutely mad, and the friends that I have that do sport are just as mad as me. So that works. And it was just talking to her, and she was saying, "Oh, I'm thinking of getting into triathlon." And for some reason, I said, "Oh, me too." And I'd never even thought about it. I think it was probably just in the back of my mind, and was the next step that was logical. But at that stage, I couldn't even swim, 2 lengths in a pool in crawl. I was an uncoordinated mess. But I had 3 lessons, and within a month I was swimming a kilometre. So it really was technique rather than anything else. And you find other people who are doing the same thing, you want to hang out with them, and then it progresses.
So that all started in Dubai, did it? Your triathlon journey?
Yeah. So no wetsuits, sea swims, straight in the deep end. And so moving to Singapore is the same. Of course, no wetsuits. And moving back to the UK, that was my biggest stress. I'd never swum in a wetsuit. They were restrictive, and it was just so cold. It was just so cold. I remember signing up for a qualifier at Grafham Water and thinking, it's May. May's a really nice month. I know that it's spring. It must be warm. Oh my goodness, what a mistake. I was completely unprepared. The sign that things were going wrong was waking up in the morning and finding ice on our car windscreen. It was absolutely frozen. And I hadn't really clocked that Grafham is a reservoir and therefore really deep and therefore really cold. And the water was 10 degrees. They had to shorten the course. When people were coming out the water, it was all just a bit of a mess, really. It was a deep water start, so women were waiting in the water while men went off. Everyone got too cold, and then it was ITU at the time. The ITU chaps were pulling people out the water and then saying, "Well, you can carry on. You're too cold. You're actually blue. You're not going anywhere." And they were helping us. It was such a cold race. I couldn't feel my feet to get them in my shoes. It was just a disaster. So I found the weather adaptation of moving to the UK far more difficult than any other country.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially coming from the climates that you come to. And it's bad enough if you live here all the time and you can get some adaptation, but coming from where you've come and then going and doing those. So has that made you look at the races that you try and race in, having experienced that, you just said it was in a dam. and it was deep and it was cold. Has that made you look at what you will go and try and qualify in, or swim the races you swim in?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't tend to race in May unless it's a pool swim, and then I'm dreadfully stressed that the weather's going to be too cold with me being wet from the pool. And I started thinking, well, I'll just adapt. I'll just keep going and I'll adapt. But I'm not the biggest of racers. I'm quite light. I don't really have enough padding to keep me warm. So I knew I was kind of fighting a losing battle. So yeah, I wait till the weather has warmed up a bit, and then I'm much faster in a hot race.
Yeah, makes perfect sense, because you've really, like I said, pretty much every episode, you've really got to play to your strengths, haven't you? And look at what, and I was saying just the other day when I was speaking to the last guy I interviewed, that's what it's all about. You've got to look at your strengths and what you'll do well in, and it's quite technical, isn't it, to try and qualify. You've got to look at the conditions. Does the course suit you? Who in the race? There's all these different things that I don't think a lot of people will think about. But you've got to look at those and give yourself the best chance, haven't you, really?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think my strengths are swimming, biking, or running. I think my strengths are probably tenacity and being a bit quicker in transition.
Yeah.
So, just keeping on. But yeah, definitely the type of race for me is weather dependent. I wouldn't not go to a race. So, for example, it's the luck of the draw. Last year, every race I did was hammering with rain. It was awful. Even, right down to Vichy, everything was hammering with rain. But I qualified for every race that I attended, and I had whooping cough through last summer. So my heart rate was massively high all year. This year, I'm healthy. The weather's a bit better, but it's the luck of the draw. It might be roll down spots this year. We'll just have to see. So you control what you control, and the rest of it, you just get on with it.
Yeah, 100%. So just going back then, you got into triathlon and it progressed, and you carried that on when you came back to the UK. Then did you join a club in the UK? Have you been coached at all?
Yeah, so I didn't have coaches abroad, although I had cycling clubs. So I joined a cycling club back here. There was a triathlon club, but their training was mainly evening. And, if you're working through the day, I get that. But I find it easier to train in the morning and get it done. And because I work for myself, I have that flexibility. Also, I'm knackered by the evening. I've just got no energy left.
Yeah.
So I joined a cycling club, and at the time it was just me and another member who were doing triathlon. And now we're one of the strongest triathlon sections in the country. We've got an amazing range of triathletes. Unfortunately, in my age group, they're all there. So I'm trying to beat my teammates all the time. So we've gone from strength to strength, and we won the TESE last year, and we're doing really well this year. So it helps to have those people around you.
Yeah, because you need people who are going to push you, don't you? Really, it's no point in. You're better off not being, the smartest in the room, shall we say? You're better off trying to catch up all the time, because that brings you on a lot more, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. And it's not that we can train together all the time, because it is a cycling club with a triathlon arm. But that's what Velo Club Godalming Hazelmere does really well, is that it has people who are training and doing different things all the time. So you can usually find someone that will fit in with your timetable. You can mesh them together. And my coach happens to be in the club as well. So it really helps to have those people around, especially for swimming. Swimming on your own is quite soul-destroying. Getting beasted in the swimming pool is much better with your friends.
Yeah, and I think it's like you just mentioned there, having your actual coach there in your environment, in your club is invaluable, isn't it? Because it's day-to-day interaction if you want it and you need it. So that's really good. Not many people have that availability, do they really?
No, the club's been very lucky. So my coach is Linda Coggins, and she, like me, has lived abroad, so she understands my background, and she's really good at some no nonsense training. So yeah, she's a good one to be with, and she's always winning her age group. She's a phenomenal athlete herself. So yeah, she practices what she preaches.
Yeah, which is great. So you know that what she is doing, it works, doesn't it? Because it works for her. So that's even better, really.
Yeah, and won't necessarily work for everyone. It's not a one size fits all. Coaching is definitely tailor made. Otherwise, we'd all just get a plan off the internet. But I needed a bit more support. Perhaps needed to make sure that I was had someone keeping an eye on me. I'm pretty self-disciplined, but it's always good to have that overview, that watching eye. And if we can train together as well, that makes it more fun.
Yeah, perfect. So just going back to age group then, how did you first come about age group?
By accident, I was on a tri camp in Mallorca, and someone said to me, "Why aren't you doing age group?" And I said, "Oh, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't really know anything about it. I'd only just moved over from Singapore." And what I don't know if the rules have changed, but you couldn't be in the GB squad if you lived abroad. You had to be living in the UK. I think now it might be slightly different. I think if you can attend a qualifier event, then that's fine. But I couldn't do that from Singapore. So I didn't really get into it until I moved back to the UK. So that was just before COVID. Actually, I did a race and qualified, and was supposed to go to Edmonton, and then COVID happened, and obviously that was cancelled. It was supposed to be Edmonton again. That was then cancelled, and it was Abu Dhabi. But in the meantime, I'd qualified for duathlon as well. So I did Romania.
Right. Okay.
So I can't remember when that was. Was it 22?
Probably, I think. Yeah. So you found out about it from just meeting people, or?
Yeah, just coach it. So this was a tri camp, and it was just the coaches on the tri camp.
Right. Yeah.
And we were just talking about it generally. Everyone seemed to know the UK scene, and it was something that I was just picking up on. It was all new to me. Moving back to the UK after 8 years kind of felt like being a foreigner in your own country. Everyone expected you to know what was going on. You sound English. You must be British. But I hadn't a clue what was going on. So that the UK triathlon scene was something completely new to me.
Yeah. And how did you find the process of like engaging with it and actually finding out about how you go about it?
It certainly improved a lot. At the time, it was quite complicated. I didn't really understand what the website was saying. The RitTri website, that's all improved massively. And to the extent that I started writing blog posts on our club website to help other people to streamline it. So yeah, I mean, once you know something, you wonder how you thought it was so complicated. At the time,
that's a great point. Yeah.
At the time, it just seemed like a mountain of admin and confusion to get through. And I was going to races left, right, and centre. I was going as far north as I could get and as far west. So yeah, I don't travel quite as much now. I know which races I'm good at. But it took me a while to get used to the process.
So do you prefer, because you mentioned duathlon, and I think, were you in Poland recently?
Yeah.
And raced duathlon?
Yes, yeah, I came fourth in the sprint.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So do you prefer triathlon or duathlon, and which do you find the easiest?
I think duathlon is harder. The double running, and swimming is probably my worst sport, but do you know what? I don't mind either of them. It's the weather. It's the weather that makes all the difference to me. If it's sunny, I don't care what the race is. But if it's cold, that's the problem. So Poland was actually quite an interesting one because it was sunny, but it was 5 degrees. And of course, you've got your uniform. There's only so much you're allowed to put on to keep warm. So I had a base layer and some knee-high socks, which if it had been, obviously you wouldn't have been doing triathlon. But I just could not keep warm enough. You know, by the time I've done the first race, the first run, getting on the bike, that was fine. And you're drafting, but you're cooling down in the cold air. So by the second run, I couldn't feel anything. Whereas I think generally you're supposed to heat up.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the good thing about duathlon, because when you're starting, it's cold, but then the first run warms you up, doesn't it? That gets your temperature.
It should do.
But unfortunately, if the conditions aren't great, like you've just quite rightly said, you cool back down again. Even if you are flat out racing, it's still that wind and everything else. It just makes you cool right down. So there isn't much.
I think mentally it was confusing because it was sunny. So in my mind, it's a nice race.
Yeah.
And of course, it's much better than had it been raining. But in my mind, I was going, it's a nice race. I'm going to be okay. And actually, the experience was, it's very cold. I can't keep warm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun, and I did okay.
You did very well. 4th, excellent, well done, really cool. So yeah, you don't mind both as long as the conditions are. So actually, on that, I mean, duathlon was, I think, born out of training in the winter and racing, for triathlons, for triathletes. I think that's pretty much how it came about, wasn't it? So yeah, winter time, duathlon, and then when the warm weather warms up, triathlon's perfect, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Although there'll still be a few 10Ks that I won't go to because it's too cold.
Yeah. So you're not into cross country in the winter then?
Do you know what? That's the background I came from. I do all my training cross country, but it's a bit different doing a trail run when it's dry, and even when you're training in the winter. But the whole muddy, foot deep stuff, no. As long as I don't have to squelch the mud, I'll go cross country. But yeah, the whole traditional cross country, yeah, I feel like I've been there, done that, and I don't need to prove myself.
No. So I always think it's great, and it's great winter training. It's like cyclocross on the bike and stuff. But I'm like you, it's the cold, and it's like, to be honest, I'd rather be on either a treadmill or a turbo trainer than out there in the elements. I find that I get more out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. I do spend a bit of time on the turbo in winter, like most people, on Zwift. The pool swimming continues.
Yeah.
I will generally run outside, even if it's raining. Just put a cap on. But I prefer drier conditions. I don't need to be fighting. Although I've been in lots of mountain bike, you think I've got to get outside, I get the mountain bike out. And then, you look at the map and it looks, there's some fantastic trails. I'll do these trails, this bridle path. And you get there and it's churned up by horses and there's a foot of mud and you're like, carrying the bike. So I'm not sure it's much good in terms of relevant training. It's just training.
Yeah. So you started age group in 2019, and what have you competed in, and where's been your favourite race?
So I've been to Romania, Abu Dhabi, Vichy, Portugal. God, I can't remember. Torremolinos. Abu Dhabi and Torremolinos were good. I think the Worlds are usually, obviously a bigger affair. The organisation's always very good. There's lots in Europe. There seems to be lots of things moving around. In Turkey, for example, we're a few months off and we're still not sure what's happening in Turkey. But I'm sure that's difficult for the organisers as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a favourite place. I just like seeing new places. I just like doing new things and just spending a bit of time in somewhere that's different to home.
Yeah.
you can do the same runs time after time at home, so it's just nice to do it somewhere else, and you meet great people. So once you've been in the GB team a while, you start seeing the same people, and it's just nice to catch up, and you feel a bit more like you're supported by like-minded people.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does take you to places that you probably wouldn't ever have imagined going, like Romania you just mentioned there. So that's the beauty of it, really. And like you say, you meet up loads of people that almost become a second family, don't they? Because you see them maybe once or twice a year, depending how much you qualify and race.
Yeah, and you catch up on Instagram and other
Yeah.
social platforms, and and that's lovely. But yeah, my husband is starting to grumble that I'm going to too many Eastern European countries, and he would like to go somewhere glamorous.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, I don't know.
He's
Well,
only there to carry my bags. I mean,
well, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And bow to your every whim.
yeah, yeah.
Does he do any? Is he involved in any multi-sport, or what's his?
He likes to keep fit, so he's a very good runner, and he does hit classes. But I said to him, why? So he does some cycling as well. And I said, well, you do cycling and running. Why don't you do duathlon? And he said, well, it's your thing, and I'm quite happy carrying the bags. So I don't know if he's at the place I was in when I started, that it's all a bit intimidating, or if really he just doesn't feel the need to be competitive. My family joke about me being competitive, but I'm not competitive with other people. I'm just competitive with myself. I'm always kind of driving. So maybe he just doesn't want, maybe two of us in the family doing it would be too much.
Yeah. Maybe later on, maybe, in a few years' time, because obviously you've got young family, and he's, from what your email, he's traveling quite a distance to work and back, isn't he? So he's got other things going on. Maybe when everything else calms down, because I only say that because both myself and my wife, we do it, and it's a great thing to be able to do together when the kids have gone, and it's so nice to watch your partner qualify and go and support, and then reciprocate it. You know what I mean? It's just a nice
No,
thing.
I agree. I would love for him to do it. And we're at that age where the children are now, we've just gone through the pain of GCSEs and A levels. So they're pretty self-sufficient. But yeah, we live in Surrey, and he's just started commuting to York.
Yeah, I
So
saw it on your email. What a commute. Does he stay there all week then?
yes, so he'll be there Tuesday to Thursday night.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a new job. It'll take some adapting, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's it. Family life comes first, doesn't it? And then we interweave everything else that we want to do.
And York's a lovely city, so he's
Oh,
got
it's
some
beautiful.
great running up there.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's lovely. Well, that's a great story. Really is a fantastic story. I've just got a few quick fire questions, and then I'll let you go to enjoy the rest of your day. And the first one is, what's your favorite bit of kit?
Oh, favourite bit. Before it was banned, it would have been my shoehorn.
Oh, I've never had a shoe on before.
No, I thought it'd be a bit different. I've got really high arches, and I found it really difficult to get my trainers on. So a shoehorn is always useful, but I don't think it's a sanctioned bit of kit. So what? Probably the laces, I suppose. Good pair of trainers. Yeah,
And what are your favourite trainers?
I've got Vaporflies, but I try lots of different things. It's but the Vaporflies for racing seem to be suitable for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are minimalist. I wouldn't train in them, and you can get lots of cuts from them. So up until now, I've been a non-sock vigilante, but I don't know. I'm getting older. Maybe I'll try socks.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be my favourite bit of kit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just actually listening to a podcast yesterday while I was working, and they were talking about super shoes. And is it Sophie off the news? I didn't realise she was an avid runner off the bit from the BBC. I can't remember her surname. And yeah, I think it is blonde-haired girl, and she was talking about how she does marathon running and stuff, and how switching to super shoes made her have lots of injuries. Anyway, the whole program was round runnersworld.com. That was, I think, the podcast. And the whole discussion was about, wearing super shoes all the time, and it's not good for you. You need to mix up your trainers and all that sort of
Oh,
thing.
yeah, definitely. So when they first started changing the model, I had some fly knits, and I was training them in them all the time, and I didn't understand why my Achilles was injured. And it's just because they don't have the stability or the heel cup to give you that support. I mean, great for racing. But yeah, don't train. I'll train in the slowest thing, hence why I do cross country. Train cross country because my times are slow, give me a bit of adrenaline, and I feel like I'm flying.
Good. Second question is, what does a week of training look like for you?
Oh, I like routine. So it's 2 bikes, 2 runs, 2 swims, still a ballet class.
Oh, wow.
And a strength class. So probably between 8 and 10 hours, depending on what I can fit in. But yeah, usually get the kids ready and off to school, then I'll train then, and then I'll start work after that.
And how do you mix it up then? So you got 2 runs. What do your 2 runs usually consist of, and your 2 bikes?
One will be a club ride with the bike. One will be probably a solo or an evening ride in the summer, with some intervals. The running is usually a steady long run and then an interval run. So one will be turning my head off and just running for the distance, and one will be focusing on form and speed.
Yeah, cool. Good mix. What's the best advice anybody's give you about multisport?
Stop worrying and just get on with it. I think women especially really suffer from lack of confidence, and it really helps when other women are there to, well, not just women, other people are there to hold their hand and just take them through. So yeah, just understanding that there wasn't really anything to worry about. It was all in my head.
But I think that you're not unique in that. I think everybody goes, like you were saying earlier, about getting to the race and having that, everything's going on in your head. I think everybody's the same, especially when you get to age group. Everything becomes magnified.
Yeah.
For no reason, really. I have this analogy of a plank, and basically, if you put a plank on the floor and it's, I don't know, not very wide, and you'd walk along it and you wouldn't think anything of it, you just get from one end to the other. You lift that plank up 5 foot in the air, 10 foot in the air, and it becomes a completely different thing. Everything becomes an issue. It's still a plank. So that's how I go about looking at racing. So go to your local race, it's a race, or training or whatever. Go to the international racing, it's still a race. You treat it exactly the same. So that's the plank analogy that. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. And not looking, I mean, yes, you need to look at the detail, but I'm a bit of an ostrich. I'll put my head in the sand until a week before the race, and then I'll analyze everything and make sure I know what's going on. I try and keep off the social media because it's there for people to ask questions when they need an answer, and that's great. But you can get a bit stressed thinking that you don't know things. And a lot of it you don't need to know.
You don't need to know at all. It's funny, my wife's just become team manager of the Aquathon European team, and that's a complete eye-opener perspective, what people go through and the questions that they ask and everything else. It's like, you're thinking about it too much.
Yes. And we do have that tendency to overthink as humans, don't we? When we're confused or lacking in confidence or nervous, just do it.
Just go and race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other.
Absolutely. So the last question is, what are your short and your long-term goals?
Well, health is probably an issue. So long-term, it's just keeping healthy. So as well as having back problems, I have Crohn's disease. So that makes training difficult. If I have a flare up, I can be under the weather for a couple of weeks. Although training really helps that, really just helps keep a bit of routine and focus. So probably long term is just keep going. Short term, well, I'm quite happy doing the GB stuff for now. There are other races, other challenges that I might look into, but I think I might leave them to retirement. Just keep on this routine at the moment. I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, and as long as I'm injury free, I hope to keep doing it.
Cool. Well, thank you ever so much once again for sharing that. Really enjoyed chatting to you today and finding out all about your background. Have you got anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, just thanks very much for having me. It's been great to chat to you, and I look forward to meeting you in person at a race. Now I know what your face looks like.
Yeah, although it's really weird because I can go to the races now, and I'm usually quite good at recognizing people, but when people have got wetsuits and caps and things on, and I've been doing this now for nearly 5 years, well, it is 5 years, I think, you just lose track of who's, and then people will come up, and I usually wear my cap just because of that, so people can come up and have a chat, but I do forget. So if I forget you, it's nothing personal.
No, it's a bit like when you turn up to a club event, a cycling club event, and someone says hello to you, and you go, "Oh, I didn't recognise you with your clothes on." And the other cyclists are going, "Why have you seen him with his clothes on?" Because you've been swimming with him the week before. So I won't be offended.
Yeah, great. Well, I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks ever so much for coming on the podcast.
No, that's great. Thanks for your help.
So thanks once again, Helen, for sharing your story. Really enjoyed chatting, and good luck with everything in the future. And yeah, I hope we catch up at a race and an event at some point in the future. And what a great potential favourite bit of kit that was. It did make me nearly spit me drink out when she said it. But yeah, really enjoyed speaking to Helen, and thanks again. So that's about it for this episode. Just the last thing is to say, please do leave some comments, thumbs up, wherever you listen to this podcast, whether it's our YouTube channel at AmpGB or your favourite platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, others are available. Please do give us a review and a rating, because it really does help get our message out to other people. If you are an age group athlete, please do get in touch. We're always looking for guests. We would love to get you on and hear your story. So yeah, please do get in touch, and you can get in touch via email at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook at Richard Joseph Conway. Don't know why they've changed it to my name rather than at AMP, but that's where it is. We're on Instagram at amp_podcast, and we've got our own YouTube channel, which is Age Group Multisport Podcast. And as I've said, all of these podcasts are on our YouTube channel, as well as my vlog that I've started doing over the last year or so, with training videos on there, and just general lifestyle videos, and there's a few 5 benefits of, such as good sleep and yoga and being an age group multisport athlete. So check that one out, and if you could subscribe when you're on the our YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated, and all helps. So thank you so much once again for listening. Please do share this podcast to like-minded people, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.